How are you all doing? Are you pretty much set up besides you? Everybody? Yeah.
Sorry.
We're like 1 minute from 10, I think. We're going to take about 2 more minutes after 10, and then we're going to get started.
I think I'll be all right if I shoot right through here.
Yeah, Chris. Don't mess with our live feed, dude.
That's you?
Bo.
Oh,
Yeah,
Bo.
and you got to be careful because that one's real unstable.
Yeah. No, I'll...
Poor people probably. Hold together by
Good.
equipment.
Hell yeah. Good luck out there, y'all.
Stay safe. Look out for the pigs.
Gabby! Whoa! It's a good scene. You. Oh, okay.
Did you say?
Are we hot?
2 hours.
We're hot.
Did you say 2 hours? Cause
So,
Well, we're gonna. Okay. Blair will let you know what's going on.
Yeah. Thank you for your patience.
Okay. We all ready? All right. So, hello everybody. I want to thank you all and tell you how much I appreciate you all for being here today. We're going to have a really important conversation about something really big that is happening in our community. But I want to make something very clear. This isn't a Eugene-specific issue, okay? This is a system that has existed almost since the beginning of our country, and it hasn't changed, okay? Slavery was never abolished, it was just rebranded, and the police exist because of that. So, a lot of things were said on this body cam footage. This is baseline behavior. These are conversations that happen so frequently and that are so common that he was just casually taking part in this horrific conversation. So, after speaking with several members of the community, there are some things that have come up that have really been frustrating to hear, but at the same time, it's not surprising. Folks have heard stuff like this, and worse, said to their face. And it really is interesting to me that folks are shocked by hearing a police officer say this. That they're shocked by hearing a police officer in Eugene saying this, because we're a liberal city, correct? We're progressive, we're blue. Unfortunately, this system here is just like the rest of the country. And it is not broken. It's working exactly the way it's designed to. And this is just one small snippet of a glimpse into that dark, disgusting culture. But this is the chance we have as a community to come together and have a conversation. Let's change the narrative. How fair is it that Skinner gets to take hold of that narrative? If they're protecting and serving us, why don't we get to be part of that conversation? Why don't we get to be part of the decision-making process? So that's why we're here today. There's been regulated areas where people have been able to talk. City Council, the meeting last night. But a forum where people are in their community, surrounded by each other, and not forced to talk surrounded by rules, is going to be an easier way to get these really difficult things said. So again, I just want to say how much I appreciate all of you for being here, because these difficult conversations need to happen, right? We can't let this stuff be normalized anymore. That's gross. It's gross. So let's stand up. Let's make some demands. Let's make some that make sense for us. Because we're the ones that they're supposed to protect and serve. We are. But we all know, deep down, those of us that have been listening and paying attention, that this system just isn't the one for us. So let's start a movement. Let's start a conversation. Let's make some demands. Let's make some change. Let's listen to each other. I want us all to look around and notice that we are all so close to being on the same page with this, and we all want something different. So let's start making that happen. I invite you all to say something today, and if you don't want to, that's okay too. So, that being said, I've got folks here who have lived experience with the Eugene Police Department. And I want to say that Chief Skinner saying that Siller's a bad apple, that's a joke. And someone said the other night, what about the second part of that sentence? Spoils the whole bunch. Siller worked for the department for 7 years. And during that 7 years, his wages increased by 68%. How many of you had your income increased by that much? Not gonna happen, right? That's not something that's attainable for us. Why does he get that? So truthfully, I think the bad apple is Skinner. I think the bad apple is the system. So we've got some people with lived experience. First up, I'm gonna have Tim Lewis speak. Local documentarian, controversial figure, outspoken member of the Whitaker for many, many decades. This man has a lot to say, and he is the one that's responsible for finding this footage and releasing it to the public. Whether you love him or hate him, this man is doing stuff that makes sense sometimes. So anyways, thank you for listening. I appreciate you being here, and yeah, here's Tim.
Gotta raise this thing up a little bit. Wow. We're credit is still with this one. Welcome to the Whitaker neighborhood. Scovert Park. A lot of history here. A lot of authority figures running around, busting brown people all the time in the park, beating up the radicals, the freaks in this neighborhood. This is where the poor people come when all the rich neighborhoods have run them out of their neighborhoods. And they come here. Over at Washington Jefferson Park, they're feeding 60,000 meals to homeless people here, and the city tried busting them. All sorts of things are going on here. And so that's why it's important to have this press conference here in the Whitaker. It's a good symbol right over here, this shitter that we have. All these huge, huge buildings are going up on Franklin and in the Whitaker and everywhere else. In a year or two, they're up. We've been trying to get a shitter over here for 40 years, and it's got chains around it right now. Can't even use it. So anyway, it's a little frustrating, those kind of things. But some of the things, what we're here for, I guess, is about this body cam footage. And just, I want to go back in time just a little bit. When I was doing Cop Watch back in the late 90s, there was this cop in front of my place at the time here on West 3rd, and I just thought he was observing me, and I went out with my camera, and I went up to him and said, "What are you doing?" And he was crying. And he goes, "You don't know what it's like. You have no idea what it's like." You know, and I go, "What are you talking about?" "I'm out here 18 hours. I hardly get paid, and I'm frustrated, and people hate me." And he was crying. I'll never forget that, you know. And so I have some compassion also. It's a working class world, but they're stuck in the machine also. Also, there was this other cop, when he first got on the force, he was a young guy. And he really felt like he was a cop for doing the right thing. And he was we'd have conversations, and he was a sweet guy. And within 2 years, he was within the system, within the culture, and he ended up being a cop at South Eugene molesting women. And he got fired. So the culture itself is the problem. And I'd like to go then on to this, how I received this clip of Siller. I have a great attorney by the name of Matt Watkins, my pro bono attorney. And also there's his staff person, Chris, who is going through all that footage. They sent us 409 clips, overwhelming us. And she kept listening and listening at home, and then she heard this. She called me and said, "You got to hear this." And then, I forced them to give it up because it's my goddamn discovery. And I struggled and struggled with it about editing this thing down and releasing it, because some of those stories that I just told earlier. And then I watched some footage from these black brothers in Tennessee, Memphis, and stuff where, gerrymandering's going on like crazy, and these big black, not black, but white cops were up in their face, and these brothers were up in the cop's face and going, "What are you doing, motherfucker? What are you doing? Get out of my face." And so if they're doing that kind of stuff down there, I feel that's only right that we open up that crack here in our own town. And so that's what made me release it on that evening. So anyway, that's some of the backstory. And I would like to thank again my attorney, Matt Watkins, and Chris for representing me. And that's all I got right now. And thanks for being here.
Leave it up to Tim to keep the conversation clean, right? All right. So we've got another speaker, Jetty Etty, also local humanitarian activist and documentarian. She's going to talk about some things that are super relevant. So, Jetty.
Jetty.
Okay, well, I had can you guys do me like this? Or do I need you? Help me.
I'll help you.
Okay, well, okay, I got it.
Okay.
I had something, and it was really spectacular, really incredible written, and my iPad just died, so I'm gonna freestyle for you guys today. Darn. So, basically, it just started out talking about me fighting my first time I ever got in trouble in the city of Eugene. I had like 260 days. I'm not going to get the numbers right because I don't have the iPad, but there were like 27 court appearances, 10 rescheduled jury trials, and I essentially won that case. I had to plead guilty to one charge, and that was when I disrupted the city council meeting, because I've talked to the city. I've emailed these people, I've emailed the police, explaining to them the cruelty that I've experienced and witnessed out on the streets while doing homeless advocacy work, and no one took me serious. They just kept criminalizing me over and over, and it's just, I'm glad this footage came out, because now people are like, oh wait, maybe Jetty isn't just this crazy lady constantly yelling about the corrupt Eugene Police Department. Like, I'm not crazy, you guys. Like, I'm fun crazy, but I'm not like crazy. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm just saying that, EPD, I've been here for 4 years. I've never experienced a police force like this. My dad was a police officer. I grew up, he was a detective. He was a canine squad dog for the bomb squad. He was retired as a sergeant after 30 years. My dad was a bad cop, and I grew up watching police brutality. And I know all about these guys. I know how they work. I know their games. They don't work on me, which I think is probably one of the reasons they dislike me so much. I don't know. We've been criminalized over and over in the city for doing their job, for doing the police job, for doing what the city should be funding, and that's taking care of people, right?
So on January 27th, down at the old Federal Building, there was a Nurses Association vigil for Alex Petty, the man who was shot in the streets and killed by ICE. The mayor came. I went up to her. I said, "Hey, Mayor, you know, be careful. Do you see all of this white powder on the ground? This is from tear gas bullets they've been, or pepper ball bullets they've been shooting at us all day. And in fact, Mayor, where you're standing is apparently trespassing because they've arrested people. So you might want to move off this part of the land. And I would ask you to stick around after this vigil and see what they do, what kind of force that we see here tonight, not just with FPS, not just with the federal government, but with our local police department, because they love helping each other, even though they say they don't. They do. The mayor left, and FPS and SRT, FPS is Federal Police Services, and Protective Services, thank you. And SRT is Special Response Team, aka ICE. And they came out and they started gassing nurses, doctors, civilians, people there mourning the loss of another nurse in our country, a person in our country who was killed by these fascist ICE police, or whatever they want to call themselves. There was somebody, I found a 911 call that was put in that night, and somebody was hit down at the old Federal Building because when they start gassing, they push people from the courtyard, from the Federal Building into 7th Street, and they don't redirect traffic. So on January 30th, I started seeing this again, and I was like, oh, I don't want somebody to get hit again. And so what did I do? I started flagging down police officers that were driving around the block over and over and asking them, please do something to redirect traffic. They literally wouldn't acknowledge my existence. So I called the non-emergency police line and I said, hey, can you guys please redirect traffic so nobody gets hit? So civilians who are driving their cars on 7th Street, who have nothing to do with the protest, don't have the trauma of hitting somebody and killing them or being gassed in their car, possibly with their children in it. Then I got told, we don't have resources for that. So I called my lawyer at the CLDC and I said, what's going to happen if I take this into my hands and I block traffic? Because think about me, I don't break the law. My dad was a cop. I have anxiety about that. I'm not a criminal on purpose. I just get in trouble for doing good shit. I guess I'm notorious for it. So I went around and I started looking for cones. I started looking for anything I could to block the traffic, to keep the people in this community safe, because the police, once again, has failed. And they're failing us. And I was willing to take that risk because I thought, you know, I'd rather get in trouble than watch somebody get hit and killed, or, you know, whatever else could happen. So I couldn't find any cones that weren't like actually being used, and I'm not going to take things that are like there for important reasons because that's how I am. So I called Tim, who lives in the Whitaker, and if anyone's been down here much, you know what kind of crap they got all over the place, and I thought that is the place to grab some barricade stuff. So Tim and Ben, these local heroes, grabbed some stuff to bring down so that I could block, you know, traffic and keep people safe. And EPD caught them with their dang drones and loading the stuff or whatever they did. And essentially it led to us getting this body cam footage. And it's like, oh, you guys are criminalizing us. And it sure did turn around on you, didn't it? Wow. Karma. Thank you, girl. I don't know. I think there's so many conversations. And we could look into so many of the police officers that I personally have experience with. There are multiple officers that I can name. I can tell you all about them. I can show you videos because I record everything. This is not new. And Chief Skinner's aware of the bad apples because I report them all of the time. I've put 5 reports in with the auditors or the civilian board or whatever it is. And they say, oh yeah, there's problems here. Let's forward it. Well, guess who it gets forwarded to? EPD. And EPD's like, there's nothing happening here. Everything's cool, dude. That's BS. They are always covering each other's tracks because they don't want to look bad. They think they're the good guys, right? But they're not. They're the bad guys. They are helping kidnap our neighbors. They are breaking sanctuary laws. We could keep going about all of the abuses and and things that we see, right? And so I just think like, hey, Chief Skinner, you want to sit here and act like Stiller was never a bad guy. He went 7 years with not a single complaint. He didn't do anything wrong. Why don't you release all of his record? Like, let us know if people have made reports about him. Let us know if he got in trouble. Prove that. And then maybe that's the first step of getting the community to actually start to believe the BS that you're trying to put out here. With your tears crying all night last night, bro. That was like manipulation crying. I don't know. That's what I gotta say. Fuck the police.
So I want to mention a couple things. So Jetty mentioned that she is the daughter of a police officer. So one of the things that Jetty had mentioned to me when we were talking the other day is that she has taken all the right steps before this event occurred, okay? City council meetings, reporting cops, following the rules. None of that mattered. She's still criminalized. I want to also say something, I want to name something very obvious. I'm a white woman, and I've got two white people behind me that just spoke, but I want to make something very clear. The black community has been telling us for a very long time that this is how the system works, okay? We don't need to prop them up and ask them for more emotional labor. We know this. And so everything that I said earlier in my introduction, I was parroting the words of the black community because we should be listening. So anyways, I just want to make that clear. We've got another speaker coming up. Her name is Jane. Everybody? Jane. Yeah, that's great.
As a granddaughter of Mexican immigrants and a victim of domestic abuse, the racist, misogynist, and violent remarks made by Officer Martin Siller are devastating. And Chief Skinner's poor response to the incident is infuriating. In response to the video, Chief Skinner stated, "All we can do at this point is own our role in this." And that's what we're doing. You don't want the entirety of the reputation of the Eugene Police Department to be shaped by one officer's actions, end quote. Now, there are two fundamental problems with that. One, issuing a statement and releasing the footage to beat these folks to the punch is damage control, not owning it. No one believes, and then two, no one believes the behavior of one person shapes the reputation of an entire group. But we do all know that police culture as a whole attracts those types of people and ultimately enhances the bigotry of the individuals within it. While Siller's remarks devastated me, they did not surprise me. According to the National Center for Women and Policing, at least 40% of police officer families experience domestic abuse. According to Mapping Police Violence Incorporated, black people are 3 times as likely than white people to be killed by police. And according to the UCLA School of Law, LGBTQ people are more likely than non-LGBTQ people to report being stopped by police, searched by police, arrested, and falsely accused of an offense. They also report substantial rates of verbal harassment, physical harassment, sexual harassment, and assault perpetrated at the hands of law enforcement. The data tells us that police pose an incredible threat to anyone who isn't a straight, white, cisgender, heterosexual male. Historically, we know that policing originated in the 1700s not to fight crime, but as a formal slave patrol. After the Civil War, these patrollers became the first sheriffs and deputies who enforced Jim Crow laws until the late 1960s. And centuries later, the violence against people of color has only intensified. The number of people killed by police has increased since the murder of George Floyd, with most killings beginning with something as simple as a traffic stop or a mental health check that is then escalated by the police, as we tragically saw with Elaborio Rodriguez. Even worse, 98% of police killings have not resulted in officers being charged with any crime. What Siller said in this video is exactly what we are seeing, is exactly what we see playing out in our communities every day. Hatred and violence towards women and people of color perpetrated by law enforcement, and zero accountability. It doesn't take the body cam footage of one officer to know that we have a bigoted police force. I don't have a perfect solution that will dismantle centuries of systemic violence overnight, but at the very least, I believe we must defund EPD and use those funds to fully reinstate cahoots so that armed, violent, and racist officers are no longer the ones responding to people in crisis. This isn't a cure-all, but it is a necessary start to addressing the lethal risks of policing, and frankly, it is the absolute least that we can do. It's time we recognize that the police force is not here to protect and serve us, but rather to uphold the agenda of the fascist regime and oppress our community into submission. And yet, even as these institutions weaponize their power against us, we will stand strong together as a community in the face of tyranny. Thank you.
That was amazing. I am so thankful that she came and spoke, and I really want to thank these two as well. I want to lay some facts out there real quick. So the chair of the Civilian Review Board is a DOJ prosecutor. Seems like a conflict of interest to me, but I'm not necessarily well versed in law type stuff like that. Yeah, anyways, there was, good grief. Hold on, sorry. I'm having a brain moment. Oh, I already talked about the 68% increase in income. Like, that apple gets rewarded financially. Another thing, so the property crime, those of us who have experienced police violence know that they value property over people. For example, somebody with a property crime that I know served 10 years. Somebody that he was celled up with served 2 for violently attacking his partner sexually to the point where she had to have major surgery that didn't repair what was done. So yeah, 2 years versus 10, that's just weird. Like I said, system's working like it's supposed to, right? Anyhow, it's just really interesting that I digress. Let's open this up for discussion. Jetty wanted to say a couple more things, so I'm going to let her kind of finish this off, and then we're going to open things up for folks to kind of ask questions, maybe talk about stuff. I'd like to start with the media first, and then we'll go with people that are here, and then we can circle back. Does that sound okay with everybody? Cool. All right, Jetty?
Okay, because of my my dead iPad, I forgot, honestly, one of the most important parts of my speech, and it was like, since this video has come out, we have seen how many different communities that this video has affected. And so for the last few days, I have been reaching out to different community members, Black community members, Latinx community members, LGBTQIA community members, the unhoused community members, just as many people as I can think of that are normally affected by the police. And I had a pretty large list of people who said, yeah, we want to come down and speak. But over the last, 24 hours, they've said, listen, I just don't feel safe. I don't feel safe coming out and speaking. And so a lot of them didn't. And I just think that is, that's just an example of, and proof of how scary this police department is. That these people know how dangerous these guys are and the corrupt things that they will do to them. And so I'm proud of them for speaking. I hope that we can create more conversations and feel safer with each other. and not fear the men and women that we pay to serve and protect us. So, that's all.
Put them out to
Yeah.
these cats.
Yeah.
All right, media. If you got any questions, hit us.
Tim, talk about what led you to the video, if you can, and what led you to put it out there, and how you feel about that video.
I get the question was how I feel about that video and putting it out there and why I did it. Well, I think it's something that I had access to and not a lot of people had access to, and I know a lot of poor people out there who are in our neighborhood, and women and people of color and all this, and I had this little bomb that was going to create a stir, right? And I knew a person in my position had to do something with it, and I struggled with it for a week, and so I think it was important for me to let the community know, start the dialogue. I don't have the answers. Hopefully this created enough of a buzz and awareness of this culture that all these people who are poor and in those who have just felt the brunt of the cops over all their lives and for centuries. It was my responsibility to do that, and so that's why I did it.
Can you capsulize to me why you feel EPD Chief Chris Skinner should resign?
I think where's our spokesperson? I think Blair here was going to answer that better than me.
The question about Skinner resigning. Okay, so I want to mention something about Siller resigning. That's not acceptable. He gets a pension. That's gross. This guy who got all this money gets a pension and resigned. Okay, no. Skinner resigning, I want him removed. I specifically want him removed. I don't want him to get a pension. The exponential effect of his decisions on community members of Eugene, some of which you have moved away forever because it's not safe for them to be here, he needs to go. His subordinate needs to go as well. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Question?
Yes.
I know you said this before, but when you heard those words on that video, can you describe what it was like listening to them and your feelings when you were listening to them?
So the stuff that resonates with me specifically, 10 years ago, you probably saw me in this park, except I was living in it. I was actively using substances and facing death. So the thing about being a femme presenter, you know what? Actually, the thing about being on the streets is sexual assault happens a lot to everybody, okay? So it happened to me quite a bit. I tried to report it twice, okay? First time, have you tried not living outside? Oh, I didn't even know that was an option. Gee. So I'm in a state of despair. My safety had been violated, and this guy is laughing at me? Okay, cool. Try it again. Next time I saw that police officer, he kicked me in the head. So I stopped trying to report it. It didn't stop happening, but I stopped trying to report it. So the thing that resonated with me was the casual mention of things like sexual assault and violence against women. Like, I said it wasn't shocking. It still horrified me. So when I mentioned that folks that I had consulted with and been advised by had heard things like this said to their face, worse things said to their face, again, I wasn't shocked. And that's something that we all have in solidarity, is those of us who have been aware of this know that. So does that answer your question?
Do any of you have comments on the independent police auditor? Do you feel that's an effective check on the system?
No. Back in early 2000s, the people of this town voted 2-1 for police oversight, Civilian Review Board and police auditor. Bonnie Beckman created a terrific plan and how that would operate with teeth. The city of Eugene at that time then formed a committee called PAYOR, which the mayor, Kitty Piercy, Mike Clark, who's still on the city council, Alan Salinka, the police union formed this PAYOR committee, and for 2 months they whittled it down to where there's no independent oversight, and also all the decisions go through the city manager and the police chief. And so back in about 20 years ago, when the people voted for a real strong civilian review board, the city and the powers that be, especially the police, created a really very weak system. And what we have now, it's even weaker than that. Yeah. No, you know, they're going to say, you know, the auditor is going to look into this. Great. And he wants to hear everybody's story. Don't tell them your story. It goes right to the police. We have to work amongst ourselves. The police auditor won't do anything.
The chair of the board is a prosecutor.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah,
You got anything to say?
the chair
Kevin?
of the civilian board is a DOJ prosecutor. Mind you, it's a she, correct? She prosecutes in rural areas. However, she works for the police. How is that not a conflict of interest? But I digress. Any more questions?
Do you think that's board worth keeping, or is it worthless? The civilian review board, does it have any value at all, or should we just ditch it?
Well, I think what we should do is, you know, people voted for it 20 years ago, and it had teeth. Let's resurrect what the people voted on 20 years ago. Right?
I want to say something on that too. It's like, because they're not an independent auditor from the Eugene Police Department, it needs to be reformulated, refigured, and maybe having no EPD to make the final decision on these reports that are getting investigated, and maybe having people who are out on the streets experiencing this on the review board also checking this stuff out might be a good idea. It needs to be truly independent.
I got a question for Tim, and maybe others can answer also. So, as I understand, this video came from Discovery, from a case over at Bedford Courthouse. Can you talk both like the status of that, and also like
The status of
your case, and also like where there's been focus on like ICE and federal, and kind of where you see the lines blurring between like federal enforcement and like local police.
Where my case stands right now, I was arrested that night on January 30th for theft of those cones, and by 5 police cars surrounding me, probably about 10 cops. And it was on that same night when Siller was driving around talking all that shit, and but they had enough power and support to have 5 police cars around me. But so anyway, that's where it all began, and right now we have a July 22nd court date. We pled not guilty, and on July 22nd we're going to trial. That's where that stands. And the intersection with the EPD and ICE and all that, yeah, it's the same culture, and I'm sure there's a lot of intertwined connections, and yeah, I'm gonna let Jetty go from there. I'm rambling now. Go, Jetty. Go.
Great question. Follow up for that.
Yeah.
My question to follow up on that is,
Well,
okay.
either way, what do you want to
Go
do?
ahead.
Kevin, you should get up here.
Yeah, Kevin, you should definitely get up here to speak. We had you on the list.
Okay. Well, I can, but
We'll let Jetty go.
Okay. As far as EPD and ICE working together, there are multiple people out doing Migro Watch and doing Cop Watch and doing all kinds of things to help keep our immigrant and migrant neighbors safe and keep our eyes on them, because a lot of people disappear. So we've caught EPD working closely with FPS, SRT, ICE, all of the, all of these These people who land under the umbrella of the Homeland Security Department, right? Which is essentially who's kidnapping our neighbors. We've caught EPD and ICE discussing police work in the department, the Eugene Police Department's parking space. We've had EPD come out and violently push us back so that they can escort DHS with a little ice truck in the middle of them, getting them out. Do we know if somebody was in that vehicle? We don't. Not yet. We're waiting for the reports to come back, but we will find out. We have a lot of video footage watching the two departments really work together. And also SPD, Springfield Police Department. They love getting in on this shit. They love using their tools. They love getting involved. They like to be in the action. Yeah, they work together.
I have a question. So under current Oregon law, body cam footage and everything that you like FOIA or ask for like public records requests remain anonymous, like all personnel remain anonymous. That isn't true in other cases. What do you guys think about that? Like the only reason we know Skinner's name is because EPD said so.
I don't know. Ooh, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, she was asking the legal process, the anonymity normally,
Yeah, so
and
How Skinner released the name of Siller.
Yeah. So I don't have an answer for that, and unfortunately, our legal consult was busy this morning, so I do apologize for not having a definitive answer. I want to mention a couple things really quickly. I know I had touched on this earlier, but there's a very, very strong theme amongst the local Black community that I keep hearing from several members. I mean, here in Eugene, Springfield, our Black community feels like they're not part of the conversation. They feel like they aren't being heard. And when stuff like this is released, it's kind of apparent that that's
So true. So, Jetty had mentioned earlier that
there are folks who are taking more of a back seat, more of a less visible role because of safety reasons. And this is because we haven't been listening. We know EPD is like this. We know, I know my safety's at risk. My reputation's at risk for standing here. But I'm not going to stand by and watch as more members of our community are terrorized, as this system continues to be normalized the way it is. Gross. Come on. So I want to make it very clear when you do include the Black community in these conversations, we need to include marginalized folks and center them. That's why I mentioned earlier the elephant in the room, me being a white woman, because
it's not up to Black people to save us anymore. It's not up to immigrants to save us anymore. We, as white people,
need to stand up and start making a difference because we kind of have the power to do so. So that's why I'm standing here today. So thank you for letting me say that really quickly because I've been getting texts.
and I realized I hadn't mentioned the local community specifically, and so I wanted to make that clear.
So, more questions?
So Tim, are you? So I'll ask this as generally as I can.
Yeah.
The officer involved, resigned.
Yeah.
Is he going to be held accountable? What will be the charges? What will be the protocol?
Wow. I wish I had all those answers. If I was a judge, I don't know. I might do something different. What was the question again?
Basically, will he be held accountable? Will he go through the process?
Will the cop be held accountable? I don't know. I mean, he might make. Okay. I don't know all the answers. I'm a cat who goes out and tells stories, and I go where there's interesting stories to be had, where there's conflict, there's drama. That's what I do, and I stick it out to my own neighborhood, the Whitaker.
You've been here a long time.
Well, yeah, I've been here a long time, and I don't have all the answers, but I try to connect with people who might, and bring people together who might converse and have some good ideas. But I don't have all those answers, and that's not my game. That's not my bag. My bag is telling these stories, all right? And so that's really what I like to do, and I'll continue to do that. And I think there's some terrific stories that are bad, good, and ugly out there, and I love to tell them. All right?
I just have a question for you, Tim. Do you? Yes, specifically for you. So, sorry.
Yeah, okay.
It seems like the DA charged you with a crime, right? And
Right.
it also seems that they turned over a lot of things in discovery that
Right.
that they clearly didn't review. So we have the DA charging you with a crime where they haven't reviewed all of the evidence. Can you speak to that?
Well, it's a little sloppy, isn't it? I mean, you think they would have gone through all that, but there was 409 elements that the prosecutor sent to my attorney, and most of them are videotapes, drone footage, and they still haven't downloaded everything. So there's more stuff there. So I don't know if they even have the possibility of the person power to go through all that and to see what's there, and whether or not they would take it out or not, I don't know. But anyway, it's my attorney's still going through a lot of this footage. Okay.
I can also answer part of that question. When I went through my trial that I spoke about at the beginning, I wouldn't take a plea deal. I said, no, take me to trial. And they said, if you do not take this plea deal, we are going to add on 2 more charges because they said this to me. You yelled down the tracks to people to run because the police were there. And I said, I would never tell people to run from the police. I know what you guys do. And I kept saying this over and over. They tacked on the 2 charges, and then there was a Brady issue because they didn't actually review the body cam footage until I went and sat in the judge's chamber with my lawyer, and we reviewed it together. And sure as shit, I did not tell anybody to run. So this is a common thing in at least the municipal courts, where that prosecutor does not review the footage and continues to criminalize folks. So be smart. If you get in trouble, be smart. Make sure you review your stuff, get your discovery, shut up, and fight it. Don't ever plead guilty. Say not guilty. Get your discovery, and who knows how things are going to go.
Well, go ahead. No, really? It's sort of related to that. No, I forgot it. Okay.
Well, again, back in the day, right, in the 90s, we had a television show called Cascadia Live. And a lot of times, I and others would get cited or arrested for just being media people. So at that time, I started learning to file for discovery. And we would look at the footage, VHS tapes, of what the cops were videotaping, and would utilize that on our own TV show. And so that was something that we learned back in those days, and I think is something that people should also learn and keep doing. And today, where you can file for discovery even on your own, and get footage and get reports from the cops. And by the way, our slogan at that time was, "It's not just entertainment, it's evidence."
Just do one more question.
I had a question. So Tim, you said your attorney is still going through some of the video provided to you. Last night, Chief Siller at the police commission said there were a few concerning videos that had been forwarded to the police auditor. He said these were not, there was no evidence of racial bias in the videos, that they were not professional. So my question is, have you seen anything, are you aware of anything in those videos that you haven't made public? And if you do become aware of something, would you make it public?
Yes, the question was whether or not, after we start looking at the rest of the footage, whether or not we would make other videos public. And yes, and there's so much footage that it's been difficult for my attorney in his office to go through it all, but they're continuing to do that, and we'll make that public.
But you're not aware of anything right now?
No.
I haven't watched anymore. I've been busy with this, but I haven't gone through the rest of that footage myself.
I want more questions. Let's divert from media. Does anybody in the audience Do any of you have any questions specifically or want to say anything? Yes.
I was just wondering about.
No, you're okay.
I'm wondering about the definition of being a sanctuary city, and if anyone knows how the Eugene Police Department views that, and whether they feel that they're complying with or being supportive of what it means to be a sanctuary city, and where does that conflict come in?
I have some things to say that are pretty interesting. So she was asking about sanctuary city and what the Eugene Police Department is, what that means, and then what the Eugene Police Department is doing to kind of uphold that standard. So this is me talking right now, okay? I think it's performative. I think that Eugene is being one of those cities that is a litmus test for what they can get away with across the country, Portland being the same thing. And so there's all these rules about what a sanctuary city is. You know, for those of you that don't know, the basics is 100 miles in from the border of the United States, immigrants and such are supposed to be protected. Anyways, I don't know the exact specifics, and I apologize for that, but the reason is because I think it's so performative. So, Jetty?
I was gonna say, I know Cameron's here, maybe Cameron has some more information on this, but I do know, like, they are not, so basically, like, EPD is not supposed to work with ICE as far as taking immigrants or migrants away from our buildings. They're not allowed to help. None of our city money is supposed to help in actual, like, kidnappings, right? And so their excuse is always, well, we're not down here to help ICE. We're here because you protesters are being so disorderly. And that's what they use as this excuse for why they're constantly showing up and not breaking sanctuary laws. But if we catch them helping kidnap one of our neighbors, then they are breaking sanctuary laws, which we do believe we've seen multiple times. Do you want to say anything else? Did I get it? Okay, Cameron's great at this.
Hi there, my name is Cameron Stringfield. I'm a local organizer with the PSL and other groups here. Yeah, so sanctuary law in Oregon mostly only applies to when ICE or DHS are involved in immigration enforcement activities. And so EPD and other law enforcement agencies use this to help DHS and ICE when they're just doing something like gassing protesters or using other uses of force against our community. And so we have seen multiple times in the last couple months, EPD and other local law enforcement agencies assisting DHS and ICE in their activities, putting up the fence at the federal building, inhibiting rapid response activities throughout our city, and they use the excuse of we're not violating sanctuary law because there's no detentions occurring at the time. And so this is a problem, but at the same time, what we have seen multiple times over the last year is a very real potential sanctuary law violations. I'll remind people that last year we dealt with the Flock campaign, where they installed the Flock mass surveillance system throughout Eugene. And when that system was installed, which was installed on city poles and with city resources, with state resources, that technology was accessed by Customs and Border Patrol and DHS over 100 times for immigration enforcement related activities. So EPD has violated sanctuary law. This officer, Martin Siller, said that he supported ICE. This is well involved in the culture of EPD, and so there needs to be a serious question about that, and I'll let any other folks speak more to that.
Thank you.
Hello. Does anybody else have any questions or want to say anything? Yeah, come on. Everyone, this is Kevin Cronin.
Hey everyone, my name is Kevin. I live in River Road neighborhood next to Echo Park. So Kevin Cronin, live in River Road neighborhood. When I was 17, I held my sister's hand as we walked into the police station and reported sexual assault from our stepfather. And that was a really trying experience for my family. We were abandoned by my mother, and that we had to fend for ourselves. And the comments made about the casual violence against women do not make me feel safe for people that could have been in my situation today. I'm 36, so this was a long time ago, but it has been a defining moment in my life. And so when Chief Skinner released his comments about the video, he couldn't speak to the domestic violence and the casual conversation about assault and victimizing their fellow officers, spouses, and daughters. He couldn't name it. If you can't name it, how can you address it meaningfully in the department? I just don't see it. The other thing is that we know EPD has a pattern of workplace misconduct. There's been a sustained misconduct complaint for toxic workplace nearly every single year under Chief Skinner. So what are the supervisors at EPD doing? It's clear that it's a toxic workplace. So my gripe with Skinner isn't personal. My gripe with Skinner is that his leadership has led to this culture. We have direct and specific evidence that this is a pattern. And so I think it's time to move on from Chief Skinner. I think that it would do a lot to restore trust in our community. I know that some of us will never trust the police, but for some of us, it's a good start in the right direction. And so, I really want to move on from this, and I really want a police that is at least approachable and enough so that people can report sexual assault or feel comfortable reporting sexual assault in our town. I can't believe what you experienced, Blair, but I'm sorry. And I think that our elected officials do not know how to talk about domestic violence. It's always, I'm sorry that happened to you. And we don't know how to talk about it further than that. We don't know how to talk about it besides, I'm sorry that this happened. We need to address it. And we need our elected officials to take it seriously. And I don't know what's going to do that, but I'm hoping that this moment is a moment that our community can come together and say, hey, this is a problem, and we are going to take steps to address it. And so that's why I'm asking for us to move on from Skinner. Thanks so much.
I would like to add a fact. What we're hearing from Skinner and the police auditor is the importance of sensitivity training and more training within the department. And I talked to an attorney friend of mine who deals with this all the time, and she said, Tim, you know what their training is? I go, no, what's their training? 1 to 2 hours a year, they get to sit in front of a computer by themselves, and they check boxes about what's right behavior and what's wrong behavior, and that is all it is. And so, that's what they're doing. And so maybe they'll do two of those a year now instead of just one. But that's the kind of sensitivity training that the EPD gets.
Does anyone want to come up here and say anything else? Because I want to direct the conversation in a different direction after this.
Hello. I go by Ray. I wanted to speak because I know that this is not a problem that is unique to Eugene. When I was growing up, I lost my father, the man who raised me, to police violence. In 2003, he was murdered by the South Lake Tahoe Police Department, and no one was fired. We settled out of court, and there was a family that no longer had a father because of the egos of police officers. This is a repeated pattern. We just saw another friend that was arrested from a potluck because we were being harassed by a known local weirdo and right-wing guy who likes to put people's identities out online. We were trying to have a chill family potluck on May 1st, and people had escorted him from the park, and subsequently we had a friend who was a young trans woman who was picked out of a crowd, surrounded by nearly 20 police officers, and arrested. Very scary situation. I have had several friends who are transgender who have been arrested. They are put in solitary confinement when they are brought to the jail. We didn't get her out till 11 o'clock at night. And while, you know, we were all there to support and everything, I can't imagine that not being a very traumatic experience. And this follows a pattern. Same thing happened May Day last year, where they isolated a trans woman out of a crowd and drug her aside and arrested her, and it took hours and hours to get her out of jail. So we'll be following up with more from that investigation, because I can't imagine the kind of conversations that were being had on body cam footage prior to deciding to go isolate this person and arrest them. I think that we've known for a very long time. None of this is new. We had this fight in 2020, and I think our community has a responsibility to protect each other, and we protect us, and we've been doing that. And I think that this is an opportunity for people to demand not only the reinstitution of the crisis programs that Eugene led the nation in for decades, and things like Cahoots have been modeled in other places where we want to see more trained crisis workers responding to things instead of people who are showing up armed and ready to be violent. Eugene has cut a tremendous amount. Nearly all of the crisis programs have been cut down to where now there's no 24-hour crisis line. There's no Cahoots in Springfield 6 days a week. And these things are happening while more and more money is going to the police department and these institutions that are not being held accountable for how our community's resources are being used. So I hope that together we can help fight not only for the accountability of the police department, but also just a better world where we don't need cops in our neighborhoods. So.
Thank you so much, because I want to transition into a discussion about what our demands are and next steps are, okay? And I want to say something that's very clear. The science has been done. Social safety net programs, that's how you prevent crime. Housing, food security, free childcare. Oh my God, not living wage. Why don't we get a thriving wage? Why don't 12 jerks get that? Yeah, right? We get like 12 jerks that like have all the money. Gross. I want some. You guys want some, right? But seriously, it's not about money. It's about community for real. And why don't we do the science stuff? I like science stuff. I like UBI. I like housing for all. Low barrier. No barrier. People need to live. Anyways, I digress. We've criminalized the unhoused, people experiencing homelessness, so much that we have the most per capita in this city than anywhere else in the whole nation. So this, again, is a systemic issue. So, I mentioned what I want. I want Skinner removed. I want the person under him to not even be considered to take his place. But I'm not the one that knows everything. I'm not the right one to do this. What do you guys want? Let's talk about it. And then after this, I'm going to put out my contact info, and we're going to take next steps, okay? Because we're in this together, right? We take care of us. They don't take care of us. Did you want to say something, Kevin?
I'll say something, yeah.
Kevin's going to talk again.
I'm sorry, guys.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. So, I think there's some important steps that we can take. One, we need to move on from Skinner. Two, we need to actually reform the city charter so that the police auditor's office is bolstered. We have a bunch of misconduct that happens from federal officers. It also happens from officers in Springfield or Junction City that assist on like a call for service for Eugene. And we have an auditor. They have an office. They have resources. I learned this week that the auditor goes through the same process as people like Tim and people like me who will do a Freedom of Information Request Act. And so I don't understand why our auditor isn't also auditing these other folks. Our auditor might not have like jurisdictional authority over them, but they can certainly put the word out to the community that these are the conduct of the officers and they took these steps and caused this misconduct in our community. That is something that they definitely can do. And I would like to see that from the police auditor. I am also concerned about the makeup of women in leadership at EPD. We learned last night that EPD has now promoted Sergeant Dalton to now Lieutenant Dalton. They announced that at the police commission last night. So that's a good step. It's unclear to me why acting Lieutenant Dalton from several years ago wasn't promoted before that, but because they had those responsibilities before, but I'm not clued into the inner workings. I would also like to see the police commission moved to a neutral site. Going into the police means that people that are skeptical of the police have to go into their house to talk about police procedures. Another thing is that the police should be moved back downtown. The whole city is downtown, but our police is on Country Club Road across from the Country Club. It's clear just by the geography of the city that that is what their priority is. And no bigger signal could be to move the city police department back downtown. And then I just want like a sense of peace. I want us to all feel safe. And so those are my thoughtful demands. Thanks so much.
I like that. Let's take the power out of our hands, right? I like external auditor ideas too, because like mandatory reporting is cool and all, but the regulations, suggestions are gross. That's why this stuff happens without consequence. Okay. Does anybody else? I want to hear some other things. What should we say? What do we want? Honestly, what do we want? I mean, honestly, yeah, we want cops out of our neighborhood, seriously. They're just...
A clear separation between military and police.
Yes.
Community should be for the community and should not be militarized. And people who choose a military career, I think, should have a completely different path than those who are going to serve the public.
Yes. So what she just said is the police and the military should be separate entities. And if somebody chooses a career in the military, it should be completely separate from the police force. And I think that's really important. I don't think either should exist, but... Should recruit from the military? Yeah, no, they shouldn't be recruiting from the military for sure. Yeah, that's... But it's a power system, right? It's all about power. It's not about the money. It's about the power. And Jane had mentioned 40% of families of police officers are abused. That's just the stuff that's reported. You know what I mean? So, again, with this body cam footage, it's like, this is just the stuff that we're seeing thrown out there. But at the same time, like, it's just normalized. So, does anybody else want to, yeah.
I think I'd like to see, like, a community representation in the hiring process of police officers, I think, because the culture is messed up, because the hiring practices are messed up. I had to look up this thing, because I see, like, on social media, the Eugene Police Department posts its, hiring drives, right?
Mm-hmm.
A career with adrenaline, purpose, and a front row seat to real life. So, I mean, my comment at the time was, it feels like using adrenaline as the top selling point might attract the exact wrong kind of person to the job.
Oh, yeah, no. So my degree is in marketing, right? And I'm glad that you mentioned that. So what he was saying is, in the hiring process, we should have community members involved, correct? So, especially with Skinner's speech, his press conference, their marketing team they must all have doctorates, because that was just like the perfect recipe, right? You say all the right things, you do nothing afterwards, because you placated the people the right way, right? So the adrenaline, what was the hiring?
Yeah, that was their post. It said a career with adrenaline, purpose, and a front row seat to real life.
A career with adrenaline, purpose, and a front seat to real life.
Bring your courage.
Bring your courage.
Feeding into that fear culture, I think.
Yeah.
In the police department.
Yeah, I was just talking about the power thing, right? Adrenaline, that is a powerful word that gets people going, right? So, Jetty wants to talk.
So we think that at minimum that all of the people of color or all the people of color who have been arrested by this officer, Officer Martin Siller, they should have the information, the footage released to them, and any, like, for their cases. So I think it should be put out to the public. I think that we need to have a lot of community input in our policing. I think police need to be trained by Black anti-racist trainers and people of color. They need to do more training with hands-on with the people who are being affected in that community. That's where the training needs to come from. Let's go out and feed some homeless people, boys, because I could teach you guys a lot of stuff and train you on a lot of things that's appropriate and what's not. You know, there are people who have this hands-on experience, and we should have a say in who we're paying to do stuff in our community. So that's what I think we should do. But I think this is a bigger conversation, and there's a lot more people that should be involved in it. You know, anyone who wants to bring their voice to the table should, and they should feel safe doing so. So that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, there's a lot of people serving time that shouldn't be, and I have a feeling that Siller's responsible for at least some of those people. So I think that's so reasonable to ask for that kind of thing as a demand. So I want to say a couple things because I am so honored and privileged to be educated and advised by different members of the Black community, both locally and nationally. And there's been a list compiled of ways that us white folks can kind of make a difference, or at least become involved in direct action. So first, here locally, the Black Cultural Initiative is an amazing resource, and they deserve our support unconditionally. They provide food boxes, healthcare services. They are a way for people in the community to, get to know each other. They do all kinds of fun events, and I've been invited there a few times for the everyone stuff, and I just have a blast. So everybody there is super cool. Anyways, the second thing, this is kind of controversial, but I really want to make this point. Okay, if you see police messing with a marginalized person, and in my case, I feel like I could do it for any person, but I'm not trying to brag in any way by saying that. But this could technically apply to everyone, is kind of what I'm getting at. If you are physically able and you are in the space, please intervene. Please do something. Filming them, I don't know if that's going to be so helpful. We've seen that doesn't necessarily work. So if you're in the capacity, please put your body between these people. We have to step in literally sometimes. So it's another way to get involved in direct action. Third, mutual aid. Do you all know what mutual aid is? I'm such a huge fan. Mutual aid saves lives, okay? Give money to a Black person today. Seriously, just do it. Why? Because reparations, why not? So it's been mentioned a couple times that folks don't feel safe being up here. The white woman saying, "Hi, I'm a white woman." But it's not just the Black community that doesn't feel heard. Latinx, immigrants, they also don't feel heard. Trans people, there's so many. Sorry, what did you say?
I said queer folks.
Queer folks. I mean, it's literally open season on trans people too right now. Come on. Voting rights being taken away, I'm really unimpressed with the No Kings folks, y'all. They've taken away voting rights of black people, and I am hearing crickets. So, this is another thing where it's like, I'm not pushing people who don't have the capacity to do these things to step up and do things that they're not comfortable doing or don't have the ability to do. What I'm saying is there are many facets to change. Little things matter too. Little things matter too. Just showing up here, watching the live streams, that matters. Spreading awareness, that matters. Having difficult conversations matters. And so it boils down to, we could have been listening as a collective. Now, the people here, we know. So we have the opportunity to continue this conversation and start making change. My purpose in life, 2 things. I choose to research ways to prevent and reduce homelessness for vulnerable populations. My second passion for grad school is going to be focused on anti-recidivism. I'm an abolitionist. I know that abolition will not happen in my lifetime, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to do anything about it. I want to get the ball rolling too. So anyways, I want to hear from anybody else. Yes?
I'm sorry, I had a question. It would be helpful to me and perhaps others to know for each of you, how many years have you lived in Eugene?
38 right here. I'm 44, by the way.
I'm the boomer in this crowd. I'm a 3rd generation Oregonian. I've been in Eugene since I was 7, so I've been here about 63 years.
I'm the baby of the group, and I just celebrated my 4-year anniversary of living here, and then, yeah, that's it. I came here, I just want to say also, I came here because I pissed off the police where I'm from, and so I came here thinking, wow, I got community here. This is going to be so great. So I came from a little conservative town, and the community is great here, but the police are more intense here. Never been arrested until I started helping homeless people and hanging out with a pastor of the Mennonite church, and here we are.
Yeah, what's really been cool for me about releasing this footage is the way people are coming together, and these 2 women that I'm working with. I mean, they have huge hearts, they're smart, and it's been a joy to work with them. Also, I disagree with Blair. I think video cameras are really valuable in those kind of situations. You don't have to get up in their face.
No, sorry. I didn't mean to take away the value of filming.
Oh,
that
okay.
is also very good.
All right.
That is sorry.
Sure.
Sorry, it's a
You
combination
sure about
of
that?
things. Sorry.
All right.
I get nervous too.
Oh, I know, I do too.
I'm nervous.
We're just bringing it up, but that's one thing that people forget about. I mean, it's when they see an incident and they're looking at it like a car wreck, and they forget to pull out their cameras. Pull out your cameras, document as much as you can. You don't need to get up in their face or anything like sometimes I do. But it's valuable to do that, and that's the one thing that can definitely do. And you can connect with people like me and other people to get that out there. That if it's valuable and it really tells a story.
Filming is a bare minimum. It's very but there's more stuff you can do.
Oh,
yeah.
You know, what would you do?
Well, like you were saying, put yourself in between them. Remind people of their rights when they're being harassed.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, there's so many different things. Like I was saying, there's lots of different facets to like revolutionary acts, right? There's little stuff. It's like you got to build a foundation first before you build a house, right? So, do we want to continue? Yeah.
I just have one quick. There's a petition going around on Facebook. It says facebook.com/FireChiefSkinner. Is that like? Oh?
I think that's Kevin actually. Kevin.
Okay.
Is yours the petition for the Chief Skinner termination thing? Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's not representative of...
No, that's separate from us. Yeah.
Separate people.
Yeah.
So this is a community situation.
Yeah, so it's
is
all
all of us.
intersectional. Yeah. So yeah, I want to hear from more people. Yes. Yeah, you want to come talk? Absolutely, please.
Just real quick. Yeah, I just wanted to say that this incident with the Eugene Police Department has made state and national news. And it seems nowadays like national news for Eugene is not good. We used to be upheld for cahoots. Now we make national news for the flock debacle, for DHS gassing our people, for Trump bringing up Eugene, and now for racist Eugene police officers. And so I think that there is a real opportunity here to organize for these demands and to actually make them happen. Last year we were able to defeat Flock and get the city to terminate their contract after they deployed that surveillance network across the city. I think we have a real opportunity here. This video shook the Eugene Police Department and the city. They immediately went out there and addressed it and were releasing their own videos because they knew that they were in deep crap. And the mayor has made statements about it. I'm sure other representatives around the state have made statements about it. So this is a big thing that has caused a lot of news, that has caused a lot of people to get angry, to come to the city council, to come to the police commission. And so I think that, for all those around here who are in community, who are organizing, we have a real chance here to really organize around the issue of police violence and all the other local issues that intertwines with, homelessness, racism, ICE and their violence, etc. So I'm excited to see what comes from that, and just know that, when we organize, we win, and Skinner absolutely can go.
Yes. Does anybody else want to say anything? Because I feel like it might be about that time to start wrapping up. How do y'all feel about that? I really appreciate what you said. I like that next steps thing. Because, yeah, we're standing on the edge of a huge moment, right? National news. Come on, guys. Oh, I know. I saw that. I actually emailed them yesterday. It's interesting because they did damage control, crisis management, and it was textbook stuff if you have a marketing degree like me, which is nothing made me a stronger anti-capitalist than being in the business college. But I digress. So, next steps. I'm going to compile a list. We're going to get things started. And I want to get input from the folks that have been watching online as well. I want to apologize to these folks because our moderator unfortunately didn't show up, but I am going to do my best to get to questions and address them and make sure that your voice is also included, okay? I want to hear from you. That being said, I'm going to give out my contact information. I want to organize next steps. I want to hear what we're going to do. City council is the bare minimum. But I would like to use my privilege to help the situation, and I have this superpower called networking, and I can get a lot of people on board for some things. So if you would allow me to do that, I would be so honored. So my name is Blair Hickok. It's been such a privilege to speak in front of all of you today. First name B-L-A-I-R H-I-C-K. Okay. Like Hick, okay. Also related to Wild Bill, which is whatever. My phone number, 541-206-7185. Call or text. And then lastly, my email. It's my name, Blair.Hickok. It's H-I-C-K-O-K @gmail.com. I'm also on the socials, Miss Blizzle, B-L-I-Z-Z-L-E. I would love to help organize next steps. Please get a hold of me. Let me be public so you don't have to. I know so many people are out there scared to stand up, and I am more than happy to be the megaphone for you. I mean that. Plus, I'm really good at organizing, and I know a lot of people, so let's do this. Does anybody else want to say anything before I cut this off for the day? I just want to finalize this and say how unbelievably honored I am to have all of you here, listening, speaking, watching. Thank you so much. Standing on a big moment. We're going to make stuff happen. I'm excited. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you!
Yeah. Turn that thing off, baby.